Wake up at mine. Same question always. I'm getting tired. We could have breakfast, counting your freckles, close to the west coast. How about that? Why don't we just get
Welcome everybody. Welcome to this Sunday afternoon. Really excited for the stream. Today I want to take a look at signals. So it's my first time trying something with signals. So let's see. So to do so, we will go to a location, private location, and then we will run a command to get like the latest Angular version. And the command we will run is basically npx add angular /CLI at next, because it's merged in the next branch, I think. New, let's call it Signals Playground. Yeah, let's go with Signals Playground. I usually like to choose funnier names. Let's just go with Signalo. Let's call it Signalo, that's good. Okay, we want to install that. That looks good. Good, let's see. Angular routing. Yeah, let's add it. Let's add it. Also, I recently switched the theme of my terminal. I'm now using the Poimanders theme instead of Darkula. So let me already prepare the ID. This is coming. Documents code, Signalo, right? So, I guess so this is my first time using signals. So I would say we start with the basic stuff, right? So usually people do like this counter component in almost all the examples. So they go like add component. I think it's not yet indexed. Yeah, it is. Yeah, let's forget about the template for the moment. Right, so we have the counter component. This will be a standalone component, right? Nah, not sort properties, just imported. Right. So we have our counter component. Let's just call it h1 counter. But please keep. Why are you removing the second backticks? App component, right? And then inside here we just do like counter, and then we go like okay, we compiled successfully. We probably have to close all the other tabs here, right? Yeah, so our counter is working, right? And now when we want to get started with signals, what people usually do is like, they usually create something like this. So inside your component, let's just go with, we would have a private count, which is now equal to a signal, right? And we give it the value of 0, right? Now, there are various options. So we created ourselves a signal, and the way you can think of this signal is, I'm not sure if this is the right analogy, but it's almost like a behavior subject, right? More or less. And what we can now do, we have a bunch of methods on this. So we can have a setter, we can have a getter. So let's just go and use the onInit lifecycle hook to just do some stuff. I don't know why it's so slow. Yeah, implement the interface, but please do it below. All right. And now, inside here we can do some things. So what we can do is we can create a const double count, right? And this is basically, there is like one method which is called compute. And this compute, I think it's computed, right? Let's see. Yeah, computed. So we import computed and signal from ngFor. And then whenever we have computed, this double count will basically update as well, right? So maybe we do a click handler. Maybe that's better. So let's just do like a button. Where we say like update count, right? Let's just call it like this. This.count.set. We just call it not update, we just call it increment, right? So we go like this, increment count. And here we also show like an h1 current count. And count, since it's a signal, we have to call it. We should not make it private, right? So also double count. We will not have it in a init lifecycle hook. Let's remove that. Something like this, right? And then we do on h2 double count. And here we do double count, right? Then we optimize the imports. We go ahead and we run it. And we have a update count. And you see how everything already works, right? How this is basically called because we use the computed on the signal, right? So basically whenever our count changes, the computed is re-executed and double count will be assigned. So that's pretty cool. So we already saw the signal, how we can create it. We saw the computed method, which basically just recompute something that is inside here. And then we saw the setter, right? But there's also effect. And now I quickly have to check how the effect is meant to be used. Because what you can do is basically use the effect to just update or just run something whenever the count changes, right? So I think what we can do, I'm not sure how this works on a class level, but I think we can do like effect. And here we can pass in a callback. Count change to. Can I do it like, no. Let's see. So I add the import statement. Okay, let's see what this does. Let's see if this logs something or not. Because we go update count, yeah, you see how it logs count change to 876, right? So basically we can have some functions that get called. So we could also have, probably, we could also have a log function. Something like this. I would say that this also works, right? Yeah, you see how everything now reacts. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat, right? It's pretty simple. And thoughts on React. So first of all, welcome Grizzly44. Actually not that much. I haven't done so many things with React, to be honest. I've tried many frameworks, but React not so much. It's still on my to-do list for one of my streams to do like a to-do app or something with React. But I think it's kind of, I mean, yeah, I haven't used it that much, I cannot say that much, but I think it's kind of cool from what I've seen. I like it from what I've seen. But yeah, I've never used it in a real world project. So I think for me, or why I, from my point of view, why I prefer Angular over React is because I think Angular gives me like more opinionated architecture, and I think it suits better for the clients that I consult, because Angular has like this advantage that it's more than just like a framework, it's more like a platform. So if you go to a new project and you want to perform HTTP requests, you already know how they are done. They are using the HTTP client. You want to do something like environment variables, or you come to a project and you know how it's structured, you know how to do lazy loading, you know how the router works. It's all kind of the same, and it makes much more sense for companies, at least from the companies that I consult and I work with. So, but yeah, I think React is cool. So we have this, basically we have already seen like a setter, we have seen effect, we have seen computed, we have seen the signal. All right, what I still want to try is basically, let's say this is like the simple counter, but now let's make it, let's refactor this and just call it, let's just call it simple counter component, right? And then maybe we also call it simple counter. And then probably in our app module, okay, it was all good. So let's go here and just uncomment that, right? And now we can generate a new component. We say counter component.ts, right? I want to see how it behaves with not just primitives like yeah, we basically want to do the same, but this time slightly different. The same but the same but slightly different. So just slightly different, right? Inside what? So inside our app module, of course, we add it. Right, so we use this one, and now the counter object component. course. Somehow it's a bit slow in reacting. So what we want to do is we want to have a count, right? Which again is a signal. But this time it's basically an object with a value which is 0, right? Then the same for the double count, right? Okay, we'll do it like the double count is not really a signal, right? It's just a value that we compute. And then we have a increment count, which is a method where we say this count.set, which is basically setting the new value, which is this.count, and here we have to call it. All right, I think it's like this, the syntax. So we call the signal, we get the value back, which is an object, and then we take value and set it +1. So we basically set it to a new object, right? And then the double count is basically, actually it's a computed all right, it's like this. And we could also have an effect. Let's do the effect as well. So this has to be something like this, right? We cannot have it like this, I think. No, of course not. But we could do this inside. Maybe this is better than doing it like this, if we have like an on init or something. And then we add, oh god. So we add the ngOnInit lifecycle hook, right? And we add that here, and then inside here, we basically do it like this. So something like this, right? Now let's see how our counter object. Of course, inside our counter object here, so we can say count.value, right? And then double count is just directly the value, because we return like the value, not an object. Did we also call the double count? Yeah, okay. We have to call this here, right? So it's still behaving the exact same, right? But there is also a .mutate method, right? Which basically allows you to not reset it, but to just say like this .count .mutate. Yeah, something like this. Isn't it .mutate? Is it Is it .update? Let me quickly check. I'm not familiar yet with the syntax. I think there's also .update or .mutate. Yeah, there's update. Ah, okay. So this one we don't call, actually. What is the issue? We have to return. Something like this, right? And then everything still works. So with .update, the difference is like here we don't get access to the current state. With .update we get access to the current state, right? So that's kind of cool. So that's kind of the difference here. So now basically here we set it to a new array and here we update it. Yeah, so that looks good. Now I'm curious. I don't know which one you prefer, the update or the turn state. Let's go with this one. So everything works, right? And now I'm curious if I go here and then let me quickly check. There was a way to disable zone, right? I think it was somewhere on the module you could say like... Exactly. I think it was this, but this is the question, right? Disable engine zone. Yeah. So that would basically be in our main TS app module, and then we pass in something like this, engine zone noob. Right? And everything is broken. And probably, I don't know if this is yet implemented, but in the future, this should then actually work, I think. So that's one of the main arguments for it, to not have like zone, to have zoned as application. I don't know if this is yet, I don't think this is yet implemented, or it doesn't look like. Let me also see if our simple counter doesn't work. No. So stuff still gets fired, but nothing happens, right? So I guess this is not yet so far. It's just an example to play around with so far, right? But this should be like one of the points that should work in the future. Okay, so I guess we could also now have like some other scenarios. So what we could also have is probably a service. We could use a service that has a signal and could use that service to communicate. So imagine we would have like one form. So let's create a new directory, let's call it user. And then we would have like a new file, a user form.component.ts. Let's call it user minus form. And that one is just a component. Alright. Selector. Yeah, come on, Copilot, you can do it. Yeah, let's go with name, first name, right? First name. We go with this input and we add a closing div. So this would be like first name, name, first name. We don't need. Let's. Right, we go like this. Name, name. Then we close our form. Because we have two divs, right? That's what I don't like about inline templates. Somehow the IDE support is not so good. Today I'm having a bit of issues with typing. My fingers are still very, very cold because I just came from the outside. Today it's freezingly cold. Yeah, let's go to app module. Let's import that one, right? So, good. So we have our user form component, which probably isn't the nicest yet. So let's do like we have a div and we just call it user form, right? So this will probably not look the nicest. Yeah, it's like this, but we don't want to go too much into styling here. So let's then say we have a new file which is called a userlist.component.ts, right? That's a component. There's a selector, user list, a template, right? That would be just like let's go like users, and then we have a div, right? And this would be basically a user card. So again, this is standalone, true. User list component. All right. So we add that here, and then we go to our app component HTML and we drop that in here, user list, right? So we have something like this. We have users on top. We have some user list like next to each other. Yeah, doesn't look the best. Let's add some small styling, right? Let's just do some small stuff. Flex direction column center. No, let's do like width. Let's do like %, right? And then we go like margin right, auto, and the same for left, right? So it's not the best, but still like, oh my god, I don't want to dive too much into styling here, but let's quickly, because it's not much effort and it's much more pleasant to look at, right? Okay, so we go like form, and we say display flex, right? Flex direction is column, and then we say we have a gap of 20 pixels or something, and then we say for each one this would be like a form field, probably. All right. So form field would also be display flex, right? Flex direction would be column. We go with flex start without the quotes, right? And then we do a gap of 5 pixels. So yeah, it looks more or less, right? More or less okay-ish. It looks okay-ish. And then, of course, what we still need is probably a button which says like submit, right? And on the click, we do like a submit. And then we still have to build out the form here. So we go into our constructor, we take access to the form builder, right? You know where I'm going with this. So let's call this user form. And then what we have name and first name, right? And the first name, we say both are required. So we import the validator, right? And then inside here, we basically say this dot if it's valid, then we do something, or like, yeah, I don't want to focus now on the error handling actually. So let's just say if it's valid, then we basically do something, right? We basically say we have a valid form, right? So let's test this. So we click something, nothing happens, right? But we do this, and then we should probably add, because otherwise it tries to make a request. And now on submit, actually something should happen. Did we call submit on click? So this isn't valid, right? This still isn't valid because it makes sense, right? Because we didn't use anything at all. So this would be a form group. Now we want to import reactive forms module. Do I have to do it myself? Seems like I have to. Imports form builder. Can I think reactive forms module should be enough, right? Probably it's more. Form control name is name, right? Now we should have it. So nothing. And now we get name, first name, right? Now what we want to do is we want to, of course, we want to have a user service TS, right? Which is an injectable. So that's our user service, and on here we have like a user, right? We can also export an interface which is called user, and this has like a name which is string and the first name which is string, right? Probably should also inside our form then just use the uppercase. So use it like this, first name, and then here as well. Something like this. And then user would be a signal, right? And the signal is probably a list, right? It's like an empty list. And now what we want to do is we have a method public add user. So here you could then do like backend request listed user, and now we could use set, but I think here it's much easier to use update, because we just say, probably we should also call it users, right? Yeah, maybe we go with state. dot push user. And then we have to return the state, I think. Alright, so whenever we do this, yeah, so is the signal generic? I think so, right? Something like this. So we would have add user, and then probably now I'm curious, like probably it's the same pattern. Like we don't want to give the signal away because we don't want that everybody can just update and write to the signal, right? So what we want to have is probably another public method, get users, right? It will return a user array. Something like this, right? So that's our user service. And now, of course, inside our user list, or first, let's first add the component. So here we get additional access. User service. Right. Okay, so we have our user service, and here we say this that user service dot add user, which basically is right. I don't know if I have to construct the user myself here, or if I have to typecast it. Do I have to do it like this? Let me do it like this. Name, first name, so we get them. And then we go like... So what is the issue? That those... Yeah, the problem is... Can I say this is 100% guaranteed to be there? Because he thinks... I mean, I can do it like this. Or let's just do it like... Something like this. So we manually cast it, right? Because we are guaranteed if the form is valid, as long as we have the validators on there, the form is valid, then we are good. Good. So we can add it, and now on the user list, we come and we say private user service. It's the question if we even do, let's say, now we have the signal, right? And now I'm not sure if this will update. Let's see. So we go like ngFor. Maybe we add some styles here. Oh my... Yeah. So we say this has the class of... Let's just call it user. And it basically has like display flex. Yeah, it has a padding of 10 pixel. It has border, sounds good. No, we don't. Maybe what we want is like box Yeah, what you have, GitHub Copilot. Take what you did. Why? Why? Somehow... I just want to autocomplete what he has, right? But this somehow doesn't work. So do I have to... I think it interferes with the ID right now. So, and we want to have like some border. Somehow it's a bit annoying with Copilot, to be honest. Like, it's not his suggestions, but it's the way it's proposed here. So then we have to have imports. I think it's ngFor off I actually need. Alright. Let user of users. Something like this, right? So this looks pretty nice, right? So we have successfully had a signal. Okay, that's super. That makes it so much simpler, right? That makes stuff so much simpler than behavior subjects, I think. I think it's pretty cool, actually. Okay. What I also wanted to check. So we had like this user list, but we also had, let me quickly go back to the counter for 1 second, because now let's do it like this, then do it like this, and then finally like this. So we again have our counter object, right? And we have the update count. And the way we did that is by using the update, but there's also a mutate. And the mutate basically allows us to actually, I think that would be, sorry for the back and forth. This is not really like brainstormed out what I want to do, it's just freestyle. So what I'm thinking is here we could probably also do on the user service, instead of update, I think what we can also do is we can also say this.users.mutate, and then we don't have to return anything, right? We are just mutating the state, which is much cleaner, and that still works. So I think that's probably, I prefer this, because we are just mutating the state and we are not requiring on the current state. We just know, okay, we want to mutate it, we just want to push something into it. I think that makes much more sense. So that's pretty nice. What else did I wanted to try out? So we can use it together with directives, and we can use it in services. So that all makes perfect sense. Let me quickly check something. So the music was gone there for a second. Okay, good. What we can also do is we can try something a bit more advanced. I think we covered the basics of signals. Also, if you guys are like curious about signals, I definitely recommend you to check out the demo done by Sarah Dressner. This is such an epic demo, right? So it's a small demo that explains like the basics that we just covered. I think it's so cool what she did here. I think this is really, really awesome. Yeah, But she also states that basically this is, so the Angular team started to do this, and I think this is a pretty cool approach. They just merged something that they think like is already kind of working. They merged it for the next branch so that people can already play around, and they also opened in parallel a RFC. So we can go to the RFC and discuss basically our findings, what we would wish for. Here is a link to the RFC. I think that's a pretty cool approach. I like this approach very much, instead of just coming up with like a final version that is fully thought through. I think it's pretty cool to just kind of prototype it, get something out, get it to the hands of the developer, collect feedback. I think that's I really like this approach. So that's the RFC, right? And then what I want to try is, so Ciao. I don't know if you guys know Ciao. If not, I strongly recommend everybody to go and give him a follow. He's doing Angular 3.js, but he's doing in general, like, he's a pretty outstanding engineer and doing like great work. No, that's the wrong one. So Ciao Tran, right? And yeah, just give him a follow because he's doing like so much cool things. Now, also what I want to try, because he has made like a cool repository with signals. I don't know. I think it wasn't this one. I think it is. Where is it? I think it's this one. Yeah. So this is the repository, and there he basically copied over something that is probably coming to Angular, like this from signal. So Angular will also have methods that allow you all to basically, or allows us to take a signal and convert it into an observable, or vice versa, take an observable and convert it into a signal, right? And so basically this is not yet merged. This is still on the way, but Ciao already took it over. I think this is even taken from the PR. I think he also left some comments there. Yeah, but basically this gives us the method from observable. So we can convert a observable into a signal with this code, right? So let's go ahead and just copy that and add, like, do this under maybe, I liked his name. So again, I think that's the perfect name for the folder. I think that's pretty cool. From observable.ts. Also, when we are on it, let's give this repository a star, right? Good. So we have from observable, right? So what about having like a small to-do list? So let's go to our app component. Let's just take that, uncomment that, and add a new directory, to-dos, right? And inside here we add, I think there is this free JSON API, JSON, how's it called? JSON placeholder API or something. Free fake, yeah, this one. Try it. Yeah, so, or let's say we have some posts, whatever, some posts, yeah. So we will call this endpoint, right? So let's not call it to-dos, let's refactor rename it to posts. And of course, what we will have is a new file, let's say posts.service.ts. Posts without the T at the end. Again, add injectable, right? Provided in root. Export class. Post service. Let's call it backend URL. right? So we have the HTML client, we get public get post, right? And here we can already return a signal actually. So what we can do here is, so we basically call from observable. So this is now a signal, right? That's pretty cool. So we get post back. Probably we can even get here like directly. We can call this and get a list of posts, right? So this would be an array if we type it. Something like this, right? I don't know if this is probably mapped. Maybe here we have to do like a generic. If it's generic. Yeah, something like this. Okay, I don't want to type this because I don't have the model for post, but you get the idea, right? So we get this back, and then probably inside our app module, we have to import the HTTP client module, right? And then we go and we say like new file posts.component.ts, and no, backticks. Right, post component, app module, post component. We go back, we have a, let's just render it as a JSON, right? Let's just go like hi Kevin, yeah, hi Ciao, how are you doing? Ciao, your stream yesterday inspired me to go fully Vim. I haven't done it yet. I will probably do one more stream where I think like going fully Vim, right? But look what I did yesterday in the evening. I did my setup with ngVim. Okay, maybe I'm in the wrong, no. So I have now installed this ngVim 3, I think it's called like this, right? But I cannot yet, I'm not yet convinced of going fully Vim. Yeah. No, just yeah, I could do that. But I'm not yet sure how it is with refactoring tools. Also, if I want to create a file, like, I don't know how to do it, to be honest, unless I open a terminal and create a file. So those kind of things are still not clear. So for everybody, I was previously talking about Ciao because we were taking his repository. That's NarTC on Twitch, also follow him here. So give him a, go and follow him because he's doing pretty cool things. So the JSON pipe, and now the posts is, we can get access to our the post service, right? And then we say post is, did this post service get posts? Let's see if that is working. Probably we should display the post component, right? That would make sense. And now signal read before the observable emitted. Okay, so we are basically trying to get posts, right? I'm not sure if this is the correct way to call it. Maybe we have to do it like this. Yeah. But still, is this the same error? Yeah, still we get signal read before the observable emitted. I don't know if we have to do that's one thing I miss. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have never done it because you use it quite oftenly in like a bigger project. I've never done it in a bigger project just for like single file editing. But yeah, also Git tools. I will for sure miss like the Git tools. But I want to do a stream where I create a small application just using Vim, but let's see. So I'm not sure if we then basically when we do this, when you do HTTP calls and this from observable, do we have to basically I'm not sure if we have to start with something so that we don't get this error. I'm actually not sure. Maybe Chao, maybe you have an idea if this is the way to go when you do HTTP request. Yeah. So you need a default value, yeah. Okay. So therefore basically to start with, right? So yeah. Aha, okay. Second argument of from observable. So basically we don't pipe here. So we go like this. Okay. That's cool. I like it. So yeah. We have basically, yeah, so from, yeah, cool. Yeah, so basically the signals, so we have used a signal in a simple counter component. We have seen how effect works. We have seen how setter works, how computed works. We have converted, thanks to the help of Chao and his repository, we have copied this from observable over, right? Which will probably be stable in the future, so they are working on this. And then we've used the HTTP client to basically convert a signal to an observable. I think there will also be the other way around, right? That you can convert signals to observables. So then I'm curious if you can also have signals as outputs. Probably you can then, because or not. So I'm thinking about the event emitter, because now what you can do is if you have a subject, right, or observables, you can also use that as event emitters. And if you can convert signals to observables, you should also be able to have, I didn't copy the, oh, okay. So you wrote that yourself. Okay, cool. I thought there was a comment somewhere that this was taken from a PR of Angular or something. And therefore I thought you copied it, but then not. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So basically we could also provide the other way around, signals to observables, which would be something fun to do maybe for our next stream. But yeah, so basically it's actually easier to use than I thought, to be honest. Yes, there's something left to try. I still wanted to see if I have Let me quickly see. If I have this computed value, right? So I have double count. Let me go back again and just use the simple counter, right? I want to see how many times, because we call this, right? So I guess this computed, but this computer probably only gets called. I'm a bit confused now with the, because usually calling methods from a template is like an anti-pattern, right? Because whenever your change detection runs, this gets called again. But I guess with signals, everything, I don't think that this should be a problem. Also, Ciao, I tried to basically disable zone, and this is not yet done, right? So this will be coming in the future, but this is not yet possible. So if you go like NC zone loop, then change detection doesn't work at all. Right, we go like this, it's probably, yeah, it's broken, so the change detection doesn't work. So it's still using zone. Because I thought that this may already work, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Okay, let me also see, so if I would have like some span that gets like number. Which one am I? I'm in the wrong component. Right, so whenever we update the count, this method gets called, right? So we see that we always get a new number, right? And I'm curious if I do something else, like if I just do like click me, and I don't really do anything on the click, or I just log something on the click, right? I get like a new random number, right? Because it's called in the template. And I'm curious if our computation here is also called, but I don't think so. That's something, but it doesn't get called, so that's all good, right? So we don't get double count called. We only get double count called when really when the signal changes. So that's perfect. Good. We can remove that. All right. And I think we are actually already through, so that's everything I wanted to try out for today's stream. Yeah, so let me quickly check. So yeah, I think that's everything. So thanks everybody for joining for today, and then yeah, we will for sure see more of signals in the future. It's pretty cool. I like it. I also like how easy it is to use actually. So this was the first time I used it, and it was pretty straightforward. And I hope it will soon also allow us to really write zoneless applications, which doesn't seem to be the case yet. But yeah, really looking forward. I think the future of Angular is pretty cool, pretty exciting stuff happening. They are doing pretty cool things. So yeah, excited for more, right? So thanks everybody for joining, and hope to see you soon. Have a nice rest of the weekend. Bye bye.